operators, for instance, you have the farmers, the smallholder farmers, you have the processors, you have the stakeholders themselves, those who invest in agriculture. Then you have the facilitators, the multilateral development institutions like the Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, NARSAR that I mentioned to you earlier on, NEXIM, CBN, and so on and so forth. They're on the other end. You see, agriculture is like going to war. If you're going to war, if you don't have all your segments and your units together, working together, you lose the war. You have your artillery, your troops, your air force, navy, your equipment, and all the same thing. Yes, you have the inputs, the fertilizers from government, seedlings and all that. But you also have the facilitators who are going to fund the business, because without finance, nothing will be done. You want a situation whereby they work together collaboratively, so that productivity will come forth. Because if they work in silos, if they work differently, if there are no synergy, for instance, even the Nigerian agric insurance, I forgot to mention that. The NIC has a very strong role. The banks are more willing these days, they are more comfortable lending if Nigerian agric insurance is involved. So the collaboration for all of these people coming together to face poverty, to face squalor, to face unemployment goes a long way in ensuring that we move.
Okay, so what would you say are the key challenges for the sector?
There are many challenges, really, but if you ask me, the first, I'll put in front burner, I will call it post-harvest technology. That's what I would say. There hasn't been too much problem with production. Of course, the government, for instance, has pumped a lot of money into production through all these initiatives. There's a lot of production going on. But this produce, they are being lost due to post-harvest losses. About 40 to 50% is lost. If you go to the markets, if you go to the farms, you see them. So you're talking about facilities for storage, facilities for agro-processing. Those ones are still lacking. So it's a major ball of fire that needs to be addressed. And of course, you have all others like the stakeholders and the operators not have enough or easy access to funds. For instance, well, thank God for the multilateral development banks. However, if you look around the world, you see that those who have grown their economy actually have done so with single-digit interest rates, long-term single-digit interest rate. And most of the kind of facilities you have around is not that.
So how much linkages do we have between agriculture and industries?
Not much for now, really. There's not much for now, although we're looking forward to a situation whereby that will be the order of the day. For instance, one of the challenges really is that if you look at, for instance, during the recession, for instance, and when we're out of recession right now, but then we're not completely fit enough to do it. It's like somebody who, of the research results, most of them on the shelves. They're not even getting to the industry. So the connect is not there. For instance, if you look at Malaysia, we all know about the palm seed saga. They came out in the 60s, and now they've made almost 26 products out of them. If the research institutions, if the research in the industry and the agric are working collaboratively, we will definitely have, beyond Gari and Fufu from cassava by now, we'll probably have some other things, even if we're not talking of ethanol, we're talking of some other food products. Okay.
So what is the LCCI agricultural group doing to tackle some of the issues you've talked about?
A lot, really. The LCCI is doing so much. For instance, in the agric sector in LCCI, we have subunits. We have the crop subunit with its own chairman separately. We have the livestock, where you also have poultry and aquaculture as subunits. We have the agro-processing, then we have the agric extension service. These units operate by themselves, and we ensure that we bring in a lot of people to train. For instance, we brought the managing director of Bank of Industry to speak to our members on how to assess the credits. We brought in people from BOI. We brought people from FADAMA. We have a lot of invitations from different organizations, private sector, even from foreign embassies. We have collaborations right now with Brazil embassy, on some areas of agriculture. So we do a lot to train our members. Then we expose them. Then, of course, we also help them to access funds. Sometimes last year, I led a team to BOI, for instance, to discuss the issue of funding for our members. We're also doing the same on BOE very soon. So these are the opportunities we expose our members to, and it has really helped in enhancing their profile and productivity.
So what specific intervention would you like to see from the government?
Like I said, going by the Chinese example, first and foremost, there has to be very aggressive implementation of infrastructure, industrial infrastructure. Let me give you another example. Well, I like to refer to China a lot, maybe because I have a lot of connections with them, and of course I know they're doing well. In China, when they started the economic reform, they were building 1,200 kilometers of road every day. Every day. That is rural roads. So when you're talking about feeder routes in Nigeria, we're talking about something that is very important. We don't want people to, for instance, there's something I call 3 A's of agriculture or food security. That is food availability, food accessibility, and food affordability. The fact that the food is available does not mean it's accessible. That's what results into post-harvest losses. So, for instance, feeder routes issue has to be addressed so that there's a link, there's a connect between the market and the farms. That's that. Apart from that, easy access to funds for those in the agro space, whether you're a processor, whether you are in agronomy, which is farming, whatever sector, whether it's in storage, whether it's in distribution, easy access. Because for the companies that have become modern industrial economy, what they do essentially is that they put priority on the particular sector. They give incentives to lure people. That's what Brazil did, for instance. Okay. So Nigeria should be doing something in that line.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Mr. Tunji Falade is the chairman, Agric and Agro-Allied Group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, and of course the CEO, Kingsway Quality Foods Limited. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, we'll look at trading in the last business or trading day of the month. To stay with